medawase na mabo mabaso.
Okay.
Nsem-Pii TV mosomo ye mafamu de boa media space no ene nsemu a ebinum ante eche na mo de call YouTube ni ade a personally me follow mu pa to de be kura na voices ni bia patete senkrofo aka mahwa me hu no beba Nsem-Pii TV na e wo honom
Nsem-Pii TV ni
Etifo Andra ana de BCC ye wo Akwatia sabra me no ka say NDC awene seat no 16,000 11,000 over be 3,000 gap difference and NDC ni no papa friend Bernard Bedu e de twen NPP asumadu entem obi akwakoda but e de ntipan na ma NPP lose ye ama yo say party no amanfo start busa questions say say NDC na power say NDC de bibia BP mu ho chief of staff aban ni bibia BP mu Akwatia but behind the scenes enema be na course wa ma papa your friend say ye asumadu LUC seat na lawyer Paul Adumotre ye good evening Ghana host chief or the evidence be ne secret be able to dwa ano die papa according to Paul Akwatia defeat fine it could be sa Akwatia for na to aba no mo de yi ye unso obi ko wi aba ye unso obi ko yi so clearly NDC are winning seat but NDC are winning seat because of my ho den ko entra no ube PM MPP mu a amanfo bi sabotaged NPP campaign ewa Akwatia yes na pardon much my analysis tifo unse kwabena Japan anko Akwatia your MPP flag bearers bi on ma ko pimu Akwatia anko ye campaign omo ko Akwatia nzo ko ye campaign o ma anye campaign na ma candidate on ko ye ma omo ho Paul Nsem-Pii yenti Paul na me sure so on ne be ya adwen nti adwen hye bia obi ana na the comment section or e dey on me do as be
election that the exit poll from Musa Dankwa suggested that they might be able to win. We think we found out why they lost. But let's first look at the Musa Dankwa analysis. If it's ready, I hope it is. If it's ready, we can put it up and then assess it. The earlier announcement. Okay, so this is NDC's Bedu will win Akwatia by-election by at least 53%. Musa Dankwa predicts. So this was the first prediction by Musa Dankwa. There's no date here, but I think 2nd September. Okay, I don't know. That's today. Anyway, so I'm sure that Ghana Web was reproducing what Musa Dankwa had said. NDC's Bedu will win Akwatia by-election by 53%, says Musa Dankwa. And then let's look at the exit poll. So in the exit poll, Musa Dankwa put this up. Party affiliation, Akwatia exit poll. What is an exit poll, by the way? I remember many years ago, I was talking to a journalist and she said to me that she was not sure what an exit poll was and we had a big fight. Anyway, the exit poll is when people have voted and they come out and then you ask them, who did you vote for? Or which party did you vote for? And then they tell you, I voted for this party or I voted for that party. You have to trust that they are speaking the truth. In America, exit poll is very, very important because almost every voter tells them the truth and they are not afraid to share their voting preference. In Africa, because of our nascent democracy is still very new, and because we are coming from military coup d'etats and we are coming from don't keep quiet, if you say they'll come and arrest you, blah, blah, blah. And so people don't really vouch out and give the information that I voted for this or I voted for that. We all try to be neutral when we go into the poll. We don't want to say we are NDC or NPP. We just want to say we are nice, neutral people. There's nobody who is neutral anywhere. You can be MDC today and NPP tomorrow. That's very allowed. In fact, that is the independence of the voter. That today I vote here, tomorrow I vote here, depending on what they are telling me. That's really proper democracy. When you get to that stage where you have 30% of voters who voted the last time to the left are voting to the right and vice versa, that's when you have real democracy. But here in our society, we are just getting there. So I was delighted that Musa Dankwa was able to put up an exit poll. This is the exit poll that he showed. NPP 51% of people who were polled he doesn't give us all the details. Or people who were polled said 51% said NPP was going to win. 44%, well, said they voted for NPP, not NPP was going to win. They voted for NPP. 44% said they voted for NDC. Now, this is the exit poll that threw the NPP into the frenzy sometime around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, towards the end of voting when this exit poll came out today. Now, 3% of the people told Musa Dankwa that they were floating voters, and then the other parties were 2%, and the non-disclosed was 1%. So this exit poll suggested to the observers that the New Patriotic Party were most likely going to pick up the seats by something like 51%. Mr. Dankwa had predicted earlier that 53% was going to the NDC, but he gave the exit poll to the NPP. The results comes and the NDC has won, very close to the original prediction. What do we do with this exit poll? What shall we say it was? Were the people telling him something wrong? Was he doing guesswork? What was the exit poll about? But ultimately, the NDC won. Why did the NPP lose the election, and why did the NDC win the election? The first red flag for the NDC was that they had put back the exit poll. The first red flag for the NDC was that they had changed the candidate who had developed bad blood with the original guy. And so there was going to be a lot of bad blood amongst them. And so in fact, there were videos where people had threatened that they would vote for NPP because their candidate had been sidestepped in this primaries that had been done. And the lawyer for the former candidate had been elected. I think his name is Bediakon. He's the one who eventually won. He had been elected. So there was a bit of bad blood. So it was expected that the NPP will take advantage. By the way, Ben Efson, maybe they'll find it for us. Ben Efson also predicted that the NDC were likely to win the election. Ben Efson, the age-old pollster, Ben Efson, he predicted the NDC were likely to win the election. Anyway, so it was thought in Akwatia that because of this division, you're going to have a situation where the NPP can take advantage of. But it would appear that this came at a bad time for the NPP. Let me have the candidates again. Because the NPP is in a frenzy, very busy to elect a candidate to lead the party, and there's a lot of connotations within that process. So who is going to be party chairman depends on who wins the presidential elections in January. Who is going to be general secretary depends on who wins the presidential elections in January. Who and whom are going to form the national executive of the NPP depends on who wins the elections in January. Who is going to be regional chairman depends on who wins the elections in January. So almost everything in NPP depends on who wins the elections in January. I spoke to one of the important candidates here, and he told me, I asked him that what's happening in Akwatia, and he said, I don't know. Nobody is telling me anything. Nobody has said we should come. Nobody. That's what he was telling me. And so I reckon from that time, I spoke to a few journalists, and they don't want me to mention their name, but I can. I always have this conversation with journalists. I called, I said, what are you picking up? What are we getting here? And it was beginning to look like when Kennedy Japan decides to go to Akwatia, Baumia people don't really want to be seen with him campaigning. When Dr. Baumia goes to Akwatia, Kennedy Japan people don't really want to be seen with him campaigning. It's not anybody's fault. That's the nature of politics. The election has come at a time when they are in the frenzy for their primaries. They had just submitted their forms last week, and now they are going into the event. You are presidential candidates, you go there, you are spending money on what basis? Are you spending money that the delegates of Akwatia should vote for you in January? Are the delegates outside Akwatia more important than the delegates in Akwatia, given that the addition of the seat to the NPP might not do much? You know, and I'll give you another reason why the NDC needed to win this. I'll tell you. That's coming. So that's really happened. And as I was watching the campaign, and I had people in Akwatia, when was it, Friday, and I asked them to check. I was watching the campaign, it was beginning to look like that. Kwabene Japan, for instance, didn't find his way there at all because he's going to make a calculation. So I go to Akwatia, a seat that doesn't add, doesn't subtract. And I go and spend money with delegates, and then they vote for the NPP candidate. Will they necessarily vote for me at the presidential primaries in 31 January? They might not. So he looks at it and says, Charlie, look, it's a Akwatia matter. Let it slip. Now, the leadership of the party, who are now in the leadership, that is Henry Nana Boakye, very hardworking. Justin Kodria, very hardworking. Chairman Bute is representing the chairman. In fact, the chairman is not opposed. He's not feeling too well. So there are people who are challenging Justin Kodria. They want to become the general secretary instead of Justin Kodria sometime after January next year. They are not going to marshal their support and join a campaign that Justin Kodua, in his capacity as the incumbent general secretary, is running, so that the seat is won. Kodua looks good, and then he probably picks up an edge as a result of Akwatia over the other person who wants to be general secretary. So all of these underlining factors were big in the NPP campaign. It was so the NPP could not gather themselves together to take advantage of the division in the NDC. And then you saw the NDC with the government machinery effectively used. Julius Debra, the chief of staff, went there on his own with the Eastern Region appointees. Johnson Asiedu Ketia and the rest went in. Now, they went in to fight and they had the resources. The National Security, Richard Jakpa and co. were all seen in Akwatia. So this is the explanation from our perspective, and you can disagree with it. That's very fair. From our perspective, that's what it looks like, but you can think about it and see. So Brian Achampong goes to Akwatia, and he's in two minds. Should I go and spend 100,000 cedis in Akwatia? How will that 100,000 cedis inure to my benefit in January? Is it money thrown away? Maybe yes, maybe no. If we win Akwatia and the guy comes to parliament and we are 88, so what has happened? So this was a problem. And so I believe that this came at a bad time for the NPP, and no leadership at the top. The national leadership is on one leg because some of them are running again, some are not running again. This looks like it's their cup of tea. I'm running against them. I don't want to participate in this. I don't have to fit into this. All of those analyses are very, very important. So you saw that presidential candidate Kwame Japan did not even go there. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia did quite a bit of work there. He went there more than once. But if Dr. Bawumia is going, and he's not going as a leader of the NPP, and he's going as one of the candidates for January, will I join him if I'm in Kennedy Japan's camp? Will I say, oh, Bawumia is coming? No. So Bawumia goes with his people in Bawumia camp. Kennedy Japan goes with people in Kennedy Japan camp and try and rack up some support in some parts where he's confident that the delegates and the polling station executives are going to vote for him. So it was really a big crisis period, and that is why the NPP were hoping that NDC does not contest, because this was going very difficult. At the time when it's coming, it's very, 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 very difficult for them. And that's what happened, and that's what reflected in the results, except that we still don't understand how the exit poll showed such a big lead for the NPP, and eventually by the time the results were counted, the NPP had lost the election. So what shall I say to these men? Okay, congratulations for all of you. Dr. Osei Aweduchum also went in there. He went to Akwatia to do his bit. But again, if Osei Aweduchum is going, Brian Achampong's people are not going to go with him. If Brian Achampong's people are going, they're not going with him. This one is going, this one is not going to go with him. But after January, they have one leader, and there's a timetable for national officers. National officers are elected, and they have formed one unit together. It is only then that we can test the formidability of the NPP, whether they've risen up from the doldrums of the 41% or whether they are going even further down. There's more time to look at that.
When President Kufuor won power in 2000, that was the first time NPP won political power. In 2002, there was a by-election in Kumau. Mebwa.
Aye.
Bimbila 2002 is a by-election. Wulinsi Yakoba elections. Navrongo Yakoba elections. Gomwa East 2003 Yakoba elections. Amenfi West Yakoba elections. And Upper Denchira also Yakoba elections. What did I mention? In all of these by-elections, you winning. What you say? NDC losing. But NDC realized they needed to reorganize their party. Because the downfall of a man is not the end of his life. So NDC went back to the drawing board and began to rethink. You can never and ever joke with party unity. Now let me tell you, some of the observations we made in Akwatia. It appears that people were rather even interested in projecting their preferred presidential candidates against that of the candidate near the Neko election.
That's true.
So I'm not against it. Of course, Akwatia this year prayer, there will be that sort of competition. But that competition must be a healthy competition. And the NPP person doesn't care. They don't care what they are saying about a potential flag bearer of the party. Mimiti I ask Robia, Minyaba. Obi oni mi be say I am for Dr. Bawumia. But I will never and ever go and stand anywhere to go and condemn Obi. Min kasentia honorable Dr. Brenner champion that. And I mean kasentia a compare upon that. Because in politics there's a terminology we use. There's always a temporary friendship, but permanent interest. And there Abia Krobia is for Abia Dr. Bawumia for some reasons, or what we say, baby, I do know. Per my own assessment and analysis, I feel this is the candidate that can give us power. I get in it. Other people will see me to be an enemy. They will come and say all manners of things, meaning microphobia. They are for me. But the moment I who say, they are no longer for me. That's not the problem. Here politics. So the friendship is temporary, but the interest is permanent. Or if today me say me declare me the you will see some new set of friends.
And some too will leave.
Some too will leave. So what you should be guided with, then say, much as you want to project all candidates, don't run the others down. Because I know they have a problem. Now, issues in Akwatia. First of all, Mestre Party for the leadership. Where these very elections, General Secretary, I said that can say opposite the constituency in Ankasa and lead the campaign. Most elections are here, national communicators in hijack campaign. But this time around, the General Secretary said, no, man local people in regional. So the Eastern Regional Communications Officer was given free hand with his team or his men to operate. Constituency, effectively, they were also allowed to operate. So key national officers being a complementary effort. They did what they are supposed to do. The candidate did a yeoman's job. He did a yeoman's job. Honorable Solomon Kwame Asumed, me bona basu. Namashe ni nkran say, and today may not be his time. Politics, consistency, human. You should not be worried. Then at the right time, God in his own wisdom, we should not be too hard on ourselves. But for police, at some point, at least, they managed to,
30 seconds.
They managed to control the people a bit. But as at now, police ain't teaming cause any arrest, especially with software or card. People can go and write statement enya ayo enya gidigidibiao yet my police focus. We saw a man on national television threatening a minority leader of parliament. Threatening a minority leader of parliament. Up till now, there hasn't been any statement from the police. Up till now, we saw an NDC constituency communications officer or threatening Honorable Anodompe, who is also a minority chief whip of parliament, or threatening the national organizer of our party, Nanabi. Now, or threatening Honorable Afenyo Makin. Up to now, police any arrest, police any issue statement. But we want to tell them, power is transient. And now we are an free NPP mu, and a free and Zaba. Too many are gonna afford there. 2 million a Ghana for dia.
Medasi.
And they are Akwatia ye one say the Electoral Commission. And then Jane Mensa Electoral Commission is the best in the world. Omuko and Komko Dintra and ka ye better adjectives I hold on the describe Electoral Commission in it. But it is their time, they must enjoy it.
Medasi, it is their time.
Not to lose hope.
Okay.
Better days are ahead of us. We must rather focus our energies in rebuilding our party.
Medasi.
I think before some members are topic in
5 minutes in all.
God needs to understand.
48.
Elections, polling centers are to Abano. On the day of elections, we don't allow party colors, posters, and it's animal. What's the mention? And your police in Kwan bit me a year free. Police were there, they saw it. What was their reaction? They didn't act on them. So even an ordinary citizen, BR or your concerned, no nim Ghana about could have taken it off. Especially when the police were there in their numbers, they saw it and did not do anything about it. They can jubilate, they can celebrate for all they can. Yeniema na Shiego as a political party, that is not the end of the word for us. NPP, we have been there before. In 1992, we boycotted the parliamentary elections. Now you need one MP, but our party, in unity, it's me organizing a concording, we need political power in 2000.